Good morning. I want to welcome everyone to our special Friday meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley. Here. Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Krasner. Here. Senator Steinbeck. Here. Chair Orenshaw.
Present. And please mark Majority Leader Cannizzaro present when she arrives, or absent excused if she's not able to join us today. We do have a quorum. I want to just touch on a few housekeeping matters. We'd ask everyone to please silence their electronic devices. If someone wishes to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card, if any, to the committee secretary. For those joining online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize any background noise. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and affiliation, if any, for the record. Then turn the microphone off each time you're done speaking. If you're going to give paper copies of a handout, we ask for 20 paper copies for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted in PDF form to our committee manager 24 hours in advance of the committee meeting. If someone wishes to testify on one of the bills we're hearing but is not able to attend in Carson City or Las Vegas, or to call in via phone, we will accept written submissions. They will be made part of the record. You can email them, fax them, mail them to our committee. That information is on the agenda and on the legislature's website. Sometimes we talk about controversial issues in this committee. Notwithstanding that, we do ask everyone to please be courteous and respectful to everyone else during interactions during the meeting, even if we don't agree with someone else's position. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. We may take agenda items out of order. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and we are going to limit support and neutral and opposition testimony to 2 minutes per speaker as well. Very fortunate to have Speaker Yeager here today. We're going to open the hearing on AGR 14. Thank you for joining us, Speaker.
Well, good morning, Chair Orenshaw, Vice Chair Daley, members of the Senate Legislative Operations and Elections Committee. Thank you for having me on this Friday edition of your meeting. My name is Steve Yeager. I represent Assembly District 9, which is in Southwest Las Vegas, and it's an honor to present Assembly Joint Resolution 14 to you this morning. This resolution deals with the January 6, 2021 insurrection where a mob violently attacked Capitol Police and breached the United States Capitol, all in an attempt to prevent or disrupt the peaceful transfer of power, a hallmark of United States democracy. There really isn't much I can say that isn't already in the language of the resolution, but I want to highlight a few key facts. The January 6, 2021 insurrection was an attack on the rule of law. The Capitol Police and other law enforcement agencies were the heroes of the day, protecting members of Congress and the United States Capitol. At least 140 police officers were injured in the line of duty that day. Chair, I'll note that I was originally going to present this yesterday, and it was coincidental, I believe, that yesterday was Law Enforcement Memorial Day, and so I think that was appropriate to mention that we know at least 140 police officers were injured. We do believe that not all of them reported their injuries. And many of the insurrectionists were, at least for a time, held accountable, having been prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced for their crimes. So that brings us to the pardons and commutations of roughly 1,500 insurrectionists issued by President Trump on January 20th, 2025. Now, let there be no doubt, the president has unqualified pardon and commutation power. But what President Trump did on January 20th was reckless. Instead of an individualized analysis, he granted blanket pardons and commutations. That action, Chair and members of the committee, was a slap to the face to law enforcement and to the principles of law and order. And you don't need to take my word for it. The International Association of Chiefs of Police and the Fraternal Order of Police jointly condemned the pardons and commutations, noting they undermine the rule of law and perhaps embolden others to commit similar acts of violence against police officers and others. I was not in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. I was in my living room in Las Vegas, watching the television in horror as these events unfolded. But Chair, when I presented this resolution in the Assembly not too long ago, I had someone with me at the table who was there that day. And that someone was not an insurrectionist, but he was one of those heroic Capitol Police officers I referenced earlier. His name is Harry Dunn, and he was able to give a firsthand account of what his experience was like that day. Unfortunately, he was not able to join us here this morning, but Chair, with your permission, I would like to play his comments from that hearing. I have them here on video. They are about 4 minutes long, and I think it would be worthwhile for the committee to hear them. Chair, would that be okay if I played the video?
At the Capitol. Listen, I understand that there are numerous reasons for it to go in any particular party's favor, the discourse about January 6th, the cause of it, the reason of it. The fact of the matter is, Speaker, you've called us heroes and, defenders of democracy. My coworkers and I, we weren't trying to save democracy. We were trying to make it home to our families. Now, a byproduct of doing that is saving democracy. I mean, it's a hell of a byproduct. But there were real-life people there that day at the Capitol, people who were attacked, police officers. Over 140 self-reported their injuries. Self-reported. Those are the ones that actually had to maybe miss time from work, or there were so many officers who didn't report their injuries, their physical injuries. There's so many officers that live today with the moral injuries of that day. I've heard a lot said we need to move on from January 6th. I couldn't agree more. I would love to move on from January 6th. But every single time we get close to doing so, it's brought back up. I appear on news programs, I appear on any opportunity I get to talk about it. But when I talk about January 6th, I'm responding to something that has been said. I think it's very important for this resolution to be acknowledged and accepted and voted up on, because it's been attempted to be whitewashed, erased from our history. Every one of you all sitting up there right now knows where you were on January 6th. You probably know what you had on. There's not enough whiteout in this world that can erase what happened on January 6th. And listen, it's unfortunate that it has become a partisan issue. Police officers were attacked. Police officers took their own lives in the aftermath of it. Families were ruined. And this isn't just the police officers. These were people who attacked the Capitol. Their families were ruined. Everything that happened is one of the darkest days in our history of our country. And it is never acceptable for political violence to ever happen, no matter if it was a Trump supporter, if it was a Biden supporter, it was a Harris supporter. That cannot happen, and we cannot sit around and be quiet and not express outrage that it did happen, because it did. We all wish that it did not. I agree 100%, but it did happen. Police officers were attacked, and that is not okay. Listen, the pardons from the president, as the speaker said, the question at hand isn't about if the president has the pardon power. He absolutely does. But it was reckless the way he went about it, issuing blanket pardons to every single person there. And it also has continued into individuals who were pardoned, going to courts and having their pardons extended to crimes that they committed after January 6th. I think it's important for everybody with a voice, especially the elected officials all across this country, to speak out and say that this is wrong. Because if we're not speaking out against it, is our silence complicit? Makes us complicit by being silent. So with that, I yield, and I thank you for your time.
Chair Steve Yeager, for the record, thank you for allowing me to play that. I know Mr. Dunn would have liked to have been here this morning, but with that, Chair, there's really nothing more I can say about the resolution or January 6th, so I'd be happy to take any questions from committee members.
Thank you very much for presenting the bill, Mr. Speaker. Certainly, hearing Mr. Dunn speak, for me personally, brings back a lot of, my feelings from that day. And shock and the kind of numbness I felt that day, seeing what was happening in our capital. Members, any questions for the Speaker of the Assembly? No, I don't see any questions. Thank you very much for presenting the bill. We understand how busy you are, Speaker, so if you need to leave, that's totally fine. You don't need to stick around for the whole hearing unless you have the time to.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now open it for support of Assembly Joint Resolution 14. Anyone who'd like to speak in support of the resolution here in Carson City or down at the Las Vegas hearing room. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone who wishes to speak in support. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to be heard in support of Assembly Joint Resolution 14?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Assembly Joint Resolution 14, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now go to opposition to Assembly Joint Resolution 14. Anyone who's opposed to the resolution and wants to be heard in Carson City or down at the Las Vegas LCB hearing room, please come forward. Again, I know there were a lot of people who I see faces from yesterday. Sorry that we weren't able to get to this bill yesterday. Thanks for coming back today. So.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. My name is Joshua Skaggs, and I'm the Legislative Affairs Director for the Nevada Republican Party here in opposition to AJR 14. Before I begin, I'd ask for a brief silence to honor the memory of Ashley Babbitt, who was tragically killed at the Capitol building on January 6, 2021, and Corey Comparatori, who was murdered by an assassin who made an attempt to end President Trump's life on July 13, 2024, in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thank you. The Nevada Republican Party is in strong opposition to AJR 14. We believe AJR 14 further polarizes our politics and puts Americans who support President Trump in physical danger by presenting a one-sided, demonizing narrative of the events of January 6, 2021. While we condemn the minority of those present that day who assaulted others or damaged property, AJR 14 wrongfully condemns the actions of everyone at the Capitol that day without acknowledging the broader context or deeply held beliefs of many Americans who peacefully made their voices heard. For example, video footage from that day shows that many of these individuals were allowed into the Capitol by law enforcement through doors which could have never been breached by unarmed protesters. For many, January 6 was simply an attempt to seek redress of grievances by Americans who felt disenfranchised due to irregularities in the 2020 election that were never fully investigated, at least here in Nevada. While it is unfortunate that a small minority of those protesters crossed the line into inappropriate violence and property damage, labeling all of those present that day as insurrectionists ignores the diversity of motivations and experiences of those present in Washington, D.C. on that day. AJR 14 deepens divisions and fosters resentment rather than promoting understanding or healing. Furthermore, AJR 14's denunciation of presidential pardons and commutations for those involved sets a dangerous precedent. It suggests that certain groups or individuals are beyond redemption because of partisanship and misplaced feelings. Instead of fostering unity, AJR 14 risks entrenching divisions and further alienating those who feel their voices are already marginalized. AJR 14 passed the Assembly on a purely partisan vote, highlighting it as a political attack by Democrats rather than an effort to heal and move forward. Please vote no on AJ 14. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. Whoever would like to go next, please state your name for the record and proceed.
My name is Catherine Ingham, Catherine, Ingham. I strongly condemn the violence that happened on January 16th, and I never want anyone to get hurt. But Nevada's AJR 14 oversimplifies the January 6th Capitol riot, undermining the constitutional validity of presidential pardons and distracts from the state's urgent priorities such as drought and infrastructure that depend on a collaborative governance. By rejecting this measure, Nevada lawmakers can demonstrate a commitment to nuanced discourse, respect for federal authority, and a focus on issues that directly impact their constituents. The events of January 6 were undeniably serious, but AJR 14's approach, condemning without context and vilifying without balance, does more to divide than to heal. Many people were just there to peacefully protest. Furthermore, rejecting AJR 14 would signal a commitment to practical, forward-looking leadership rather than divisive retrospection. Thank you for your time.
Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Nancy Carlson, Carlson, Senator Orenshaw and members of the committee. I strongly oppose AJR 14, which condemns the insurrection of January 6, 2021. In contradiction to what is included in this bill, President Trump did not organize this event. He did not select the date. He was invited and accepted an invitation to speak on December 19th, 2020. Violence was never, condemned or, it was condemned, but it was never incited by President Trump at any time during his speech at the Ellipse Field. I know this because I was there. I'm not an insurrectionist. There were known Antifa members in the crowd wearing Trump gear, encouraging movement into the Capitol, and Capitol Police did in fact, some Capitol Police did in fact remove barriers, invite attendees into the Capitol building, and escort them through the Capitol building. The president requested the support of the National Guard 3 times. Due to his awareness that there was a potential for violence, his requests were ignored. The full videos of the events on January 6th were not provided during the defense of those charged. They were not given fair trials. Months after January 6th, the FBI admitted there was no evidence for a plan to invade the Capitol. There was no fake set of direct electors. Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution allows for the rejection of the electors and verification of the counts. A number of congressional representatives were ready to verify the elector votes matched the will of the people from their states. There was sufficient concern about the election results and concern over the legality of the indictments of the attendees charged on January 6th, such that most, not all, of the indicted were granted clemency by President Trump. This is the right of the president, and this right has been enacted by many presidents, including very recently by President Biden. Let us acknowledge that there are differences between the parties in the way many events have been viewed over the last several decades. Let's move on and stop with the divisiveness. Our country was founded on a two-party system for a reason, to ensure checks and balances.
Carlson, we are at 2 minutes, so if you could bring your comments to a close. Thank you.
Our constitutional republic has been a success because of our two-party checks and balances. Please oppose AJR 14.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and proceed, Ms. Hanson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state president of the Independent American Party, and I am not a Republican. I'm here, I did not testify in the Assembly, and I am very thankful for those that oppose this today and fully support their testimony. I think it's very sad that this has been brought forward because it only encourages divisiveness between us. This is 5 years ago. I think we need to move on. I think we need to heal. I think we need to extend the hand to one another from the different parties. I don't think this accomplishes anything but encouraging people once again in negative feelings towards one another from Republicans and Democrats. And I think it's very unfortunate that we would spend our time on such a negative bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Hanson. I don't see anyone coming forward at the Las Vegas hearing room. So broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to speak in opposition to AJR 14? We are limiting speakers to 2 minutes per person.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition to Assembly Joint Resolution 14, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of this committee. I'm Kimberly Fergus, FERGUS. I strongly oppose AJR 14. I echo a lot what others have said. However, in my view, this resolution is nothing more than a partisan stunt. Let me break it down. Wasting time on a symbolic, non-binding resolution. This has zero legal effect. It's political virtue signaling, not governing. Attacks the constitutional power of the presidency. The U.S. Constitution gives the president absolute pardon power. You don't get to pick and choose when you respect it. Selective outrage is hypocritical. No resolutions condemning the 2020 riots where federal buildings were burned and police were attacked. So violence is only bad when it's politically inconvenient. It politicizes law enforcement. Don't use injured officers as a shield while ignoring violence against them in every other context. That's exploitation, not support. It does not represent Nevadans. This is DC-style theater. Most Nevadans want their legislature focused on real issues, not preheated partisan drama from 4 years ago. AJR 14 is a disgrace, misuse of legislative time, and embarrassment to the body. I urge you to vote no. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. I, too, am not a Democrat or Republican. I'm Independent American Party. I was not there that day, but I do have a friend that was there. She's former military, former police. She took video of everything that was happening. And I did see the video a number of times. There were people dressed in black encouraging people to enter the building. There were a number of people that were dressed in black, and they were all running around trying to get people to enter the building. We now know, looking back, and more testimony and this and that, that there were federal agents that were also encouraging people to walk in to the Capitol building. And it's an interesting thing that people who didn't do anything but walk in and walk out ended up having to serve time. This bill is really a slap in the face to anybody that had friends that know what happened, or that were there, or ended up in prison serving time because they walked into our Capitol building, which is our home. Also, that there were no Republicans that signed on to this resolution. It is not showing everybody in the state cohesive and together. It's just Democrats that are doing this, and that's not really what we should be doing. It's dividing people and not bringing people together. So for that reason, I think it's very important that we deep six this bill. It's not something that to be proud of or that will bring people together. It will divide us further. Please vote no. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Bruce Parks, BRUCEPARKS. I am chairman of the Washoe County Republican Party. I cannot adequately express my disappointment that this partisan bill would even be considered. You do not have all the facts surrounding that day. In fact, I don't believe the American people will ever know the entire story behind what occurred that day. Going forward with this bill will achieve nothing positive for anybody. It will only serve to further divide us, not only as a state, but as a country. If that is your purpose with this piece of political theater, then I'm quite sure that you will achieve success. It never ceases to amaze me the short-sightedness of the Democrats that all sponsor this bill, all support it. Not one single Republican is in favor of this. I would caution you to consider what the implications of passing this are going to be. I don't believe that they have been considered. This will do no good for anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I rise in strong opposition of this resolution for everything that was mentioned prior to me.
Pardon me, sorry to
Oh,
interrupt you.
I
Do
forgot
you
my
mind
name.
stating your name
I
and spelling
apologize.
it? Thank you.
Yes, apologize. Katrin Ivanov, Ivanoff. That can show you, because I knew I should say my name, that can show you how upset I'm with that bill. Because once again, that's another bill that Nevada legislatures are not spending time helping Nevadans, but thinking of everything else but Nevadan residents. On another hand, I'm glad that you are wasting your time on such a meaningless resolution. At least that time is not spent trying to tax us more or take more of our rights away. I urge you, even though it's kind of meaningless, please vote note on that. Nevadans need to know that you have our back, and that bill is not showing us that. That's another bill that does not include the problems that Nevadans need solving. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Good morning. My name is Ellen Gifford, ELLENGIFF as in Frank, ORD as in David. AJR 14 is an opinion. It is the opinion of a small group of Nevada legislators who want their voices to be heard. It is proclaimed that should this resolution make it through the legislative process, the Chief Clerk of the Assembly will prepare and transmit a copy of this resolution to the President of the United States and various other elected officials. Concurrent with this resolution, there is the truth. An extremely large population of Nevadans know what that truth is, and they will want their voices to be heard also. Perhaps AJR 14 will make it through the legislative process and find its way to the President of the United States. If it does, it will be completely overshadowed by the communications that will also go out to the President from that huge population of Nevadans, assuring him that AJR 14 does not represent all of Nevada, assuring him that Nevada's got his back, and encouraging him to forge ahead in serving our country and saving our country. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Iris Stone, IRISSTONE. It's puzzling to me why the Nevada Democrats are sponsoring this resolution after numerous facts have shed light on many inaccuracies of the original narrative. Over 751,000 Nevadans voted for President Donald Trump on November 5th, 2024. He won Nevada by more than 46,000 votes. The nationwide Democrat campaign in 2024 made sure that January 6th was front and center on all messaging to the voters. For 4 long years, we heard nothing but claims about this so-called insurrection while attacking President Trump and Republicans along the way. Remember, though, that it was President Trump who ordered 10,000 National Guards to be at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, and it was U.S. Congresswoman Pelosi who declined the proposal. Nevadans know that, and Americans know that. Obviously, the Democrat Party's January 6th negative has lost its effect. 751,000 Nevadans will view this resolution as selective outrage from the Nevada Democrat legislators. I should also point out the fact that this matter is still in discovery in the U.S. House of Representatives and has an open investigation on what happened on January 6th, 2021. I hope you see reason and do not go any further with this proposal. Thank you very much.
Chair, we have no additional callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. I would like to now go to neutral testimony. And anyone who's neutral on AJR 14, either here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, don't see anyone coming forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines neutral who wants to be heard?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral to Assembly Joint Resolution 14, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker had to leave, so I don't think we're going to do any closing comments. So with that, we're going to close the hearing on Assembly Joint Resolution 14. And I see we're very fortunate to have Assemblymember Danielle Monroe Moreno with us. And I believe we will start with Assembly Bill 249, if that's your preference. And we'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 249. Thanks for your patience this morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Chair Orenshaw and committee. I'm Assembly Member Danielle Monroe Moreno. I represent Assembly District 1, which is in Southern Nevada. And I serve in the legislature as the chair of the Ways and Means Committee. And going into the legislative session, looking at the budget, which is my job, knowing we wouldn't have a lot of money to do some amazing work that we would love to do when we're sitting here, gave us an opportunity to do some cleanup to make our jobs, all of our jobs, especially those that are in the fiscal part of our jobs, a little easier. So the bills that we be presenting today are some cleanup bills to make our jobs more efficient. I have two phone a friends with me. I have Ms. Sarah Kaufman, political analyst for the committee, and Mr. Michael Nakamoto. And the first bill we'll be presenting to you, and hopefully they're short bills, is Assembly Bill 249, which requires the summary of all bill or joint resolutions to include certain statements relating to the measures fiscal effect on the state's highway fund. The bill also changes the summary statement relating to the measures fiscal effect on the state from effect on the state yes to effect on the state may have a fiscal impact. Additionally, the bill revises the deadline for posting the fiscal note for an initiative or referendum petition on the Secretary of State's website and authorizes the Fiscal Analysis Division of the Legislative Council Bureau to extend the period of local governments to return fiscal notes if a matter requires extended research. We could go into further detail, but with that, we'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Senator Daley.
Comment, really. Can we maybe amend this to say if you put in a fictitious or exaggerated fiscal note that we deduct double that from your budget? I'm just saying, it's an idea.
Danielle Monroe Moreno, for the record, wishful thinking.
Thank you. And I guess one question I have just about the portion of the bill about initiative and referenda. Do you see that changing the process at all for folks who are trying to get something on the ballot or with anything? I just wondered if you could address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Michael Nakamoto. That's Nakamoto. I serve as Chief Principal Deputy Fiscal Analyst with the Fiscal Analysis Division. To answer your question, no. Basically, in extending that period of time, that is basically allowing us additional time to do the research. Right now, the time is 10 working days. And for a lot of the initiative petitions that are filed, that simply does not give us enough time to do the due diligence, to do the fiscal note that we feel is important and necessary for the initiatives and referenda.
Thank you very much. So you don't see it affecting the people who are trying to get it on the ballot or anything like that?
Mr. Chair, Michael Nakamoto, for the record, no, because we just see it as because we're tying it to the filing of any challenges. I think it actually is the challenge is going to be the obstacle in getting it available for submission rather than the fiscal note itself, which I think is still what it is under the current law.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm not seeing any additional questions. I appreciate your presentation of the bill, and we'll open it up now for support of the measure. Anyone who wishes to speak in support, now's your opportunity. Please come forward, and appreciate everybody being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Alexis Motorex, Motarex, with the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors representing the commercial construction industry in Northern Nevada. We're here in support of AB 249, specifically the inclusion of fiscal notes indicating an impact on the highway fund, and sincerely appreciate Chairman Roman Reno for including it. Money from the highway fund is used to augment the budgets of other agencies in addition to its intended purpose of building and maintaining Nevada's highway system. In 2023, that amounted to over $44 million. The highway fund has an increasing deficit as vehicle miles traveled in the state continue to increase while funding decreases due to an antiquated funding mechanism that hasn't been adjusted since 1992. At the same time, we continue to see requests for funding from other agencies that directly impact the department's ability to perform its core function of planning, constructing, operating, and maintaining over 5,000 miles of highway in the state, which provides for thousands of prevailing wage jobs for Nevadans every year. We believe including the fiscal impact proposed in this legislation has on the highway fund will provide for better transparency, education, and awareness about the funding of non-highway related expenditures. Thank you.
Testimony, appreciate it. Whoever would like to go next, please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good morning, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matievich, Cadence representing Washoe County. And we are here to be pleased to be here in support of this bill today. We thank Assemblymember Monroe Moreno for bringing it forward, particularly Section 1.5, the provision that allows local governments to have the same opportunity that exists today for state agencies, that when there is a fiscal note that's been requested of us that requires additional research, that we may request an extension of time by which the deadline to submit that. For context for the committee, in this session so far, Washoe County has received 227 fiscal note requests, so nearly a full quarter of all the bills introduced have been requested for a fiscal note analysis by Washoe County. And in some cases, we do need to confer with our actuarials or our third-party administrators to be sure that we're giving the best information. I think Senator Daley, perhaps to your earlier comment about fictitious or exaggerated, that in all honesty, sometimes we feel like we maybe need to just to protect ourselves. We give a higher number than we might have otherwise been able to get to if we had time to sharpen the pencil. So while this may seem like a small thing, it really is important for local governments, and we would ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Good morning. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jennifer Berthiaume, that's Berthiaume, Government Affairs Manager for the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO, whose members represent
and NACO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your testimony. Good morning.
Morning, Chair, members of the committee. Nick Ciccone for the record. That's Nicciccone, representing the city of Reno, and I just want to echo the comments of my other local government colleagues. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ciccone. Not seeing anyone else come forward in Carson City. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcasting, is there anyone in support of the measure on the phone lines?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Assembly Bill 249, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to now go to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to the measure wishes to be heard. Carson City or Las Vegas? I don't see anyone coming forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition to the bill who wants to be heard?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 249, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to now go to neutral. Anyone who's neutral on the measure and wishes to be heard. Carson City or Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who's neutral to the measure who wishes to be heard?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 249, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing comments, Assembly Member? Well, thank you very much for presenting the bill. I'll now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 249. I'd like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 348. And thank you for being here to present on that bill as well, Assembly Member.
Good morning, Chair Ornshaw and committee, and thank you so much for allowing us to present Assembly Bill 348. I am Assembly Member Danielle Monroe Moreno, and joining me here at the table is Sarah Kaufman, Chief Fiscal Analyst, and Mr. Michael Nakamoto. And we are here to present Assembly Bill 348, which revises provisions relating to the Interim Retirement and Benefits Committee and the Legislative Council Bureau's Fiscal Analysis Division. AB 348 requires the Interim Retirement Benefits Committee to review the operation of and make recommendations regarding the legislator's retirement system and provides for the terms of members, appointment of alternates, and filing of vacancies for the committee. The bill also eliminates the requirement for the Fiscal Analysis Division of the Legislative Council Bureau to perform and report the results of budget stress tests in even-numbered years and to the extent of available resources. And then finally, AB 348 abolishes the Legislative Bureau of Educational Accountability and Program Evaluations within the Fiscal Analysis Division. As I stated earlier in my previous presentation on the last bill, as chair of the Ways and Means Committee, I serve on this committee, and I unfortunately could not make a meeting, and we learned that according to statute, there was no provision to make an alternate appointment for that one meeting where you can do on IFC and other interim committees. So this is another one of those cleanup bills, and the reason for the abolishment of the Legislative Bureau of Educational Accountability and Program Evaluations. We have not utilized that in years, and we now have a different mechanism to use for that. So this is just antiquated policy that we'd like to remove from statute. I do have my two phone friends that can answer any technical questions you may have.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your leadership on that committee. I've been very fortunate to get to serve on the Interim Retirement Benefits Committee too, and it's always so informative, all the information we get and being able to be part of that. Members, any questions for Assembly Member? Vice Chair Daley.
Not necessarily a question again either, but thank you for the explanation on the education thing, and too bad the Sunset Subcommittee didn't get to it first, but always in favor of getting rid of the board. But it's old, antiquated, we don't use it anymore, so thank you for that. And then the only thing, all for the alternates as well, and if that creates a problem, you do that. It just seems to me, and probably not worth changing, it would have been easier to anticipate that and say that you appoint 3 members and 2 alternates, so you have them, you know who they are, they would be the ones you call. Similar to what we do with Legislative Commission when you appoint that. And I don't know if it's worth changing it now, but it seems more efficient to me. You could change it pretty easily in Section 1, Subsection 2, it just would say appoint 3 members and 2 alternates. Efficiency is all. But if there's not time, no worries.
Mr. Chair, for the record, Sarah Kaufman, Legislative Council Bureau Fiscal Analysis Division. To answer your question, Senator Daley, the language that was included in the alternate section was basically the same as the alternate language that we used for the Interim Finance Committee. So we were just trying to keep it consistent with the money committees.
Understood. And like I say, it's not that big of a deal. I know we do it for the Legislative Commission. It works pretty well. We name who the alternates are and call them.
Thank you. Any other questions, Vice Chair Daley or members? No, I'm not seeing any other questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'd like to now open it up to support on the measure. Anyone who wishes to speak in support in Carson City or in Las Vegas. And I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to speak in support of the measure?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Assembly Bill 348, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move to opposition. Anyone who's opposed to the measure and wishes to be heard in Carson City or in Las Vegas? And I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines in opposition to the measure who wishes to be heard?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 348, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to move to neutral. Anyone who's neutral on the bill wishes to be heard either in Carson City or in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who's neutral to the measure and wishes to be heard?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 348, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember, any closing comments? I will appreciate your presentation of the bill. I'll now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 348. I'd like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 506. And thank you, Assemblymember Danielle Monroe Moreno. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to your excellent staff, and appreciate your being willing to present all these bills this morning.
Good morning again, Chair Orenshaw and Committee. Thank you so much for having us back. I am Assemblymember Danielle Monroe Moreno, representing Assembly District 1 and the beautiful city of North Las Vegas. And I serve as chair of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. And Assembly Bill 506 is another bill that is a cleanup bill in how we becoming more efficient in how we do our jobs in the fiscal division. I have here at the table with me my chief fiscal analyst, Ms. Sarah Kaufman, and Mr. Michael Nakamoto as my phone of friends. And Assembly Bill 506 eliminates several, actually 19, reporting requirements that currently mandate various state agencies, departments, and entities to submit reports to the Interim Finance Committee, otherwise known as IFC, when the legislature is not in session. The bill would eliminate the following requirements to the IFC. The first would be the requirement of the Attorney General to submit annual statements on the registry account. If you'd like me to go through the justification for each one of the eliminations, Mr. Chair, or just name out the ones that...
No, I think just name out is fine. And if members have any questions, then we appreciate you being here to answer those questions.
Perfect. Okay, the next would be the Executive Director of the Office of Economic Development to report on certain economic development programs related to the Catalyst account. Next is the requirement of the Department of Corrections to report on accounts receivable for prison industries. Next would be the Legislative Bureau on Educational Accountability and Program Evaluation to submit reports to certain legislative bodies on odd-numbered years. And if you remember, I just mentioned that on the bill for AB 348 for its elimination. The next would be the Merit Award Board to report on employee suggestions and for local governments to submit performance contract reports to the IFC. Next, the Purchasing Division on contracts with veteran-owned businesses. Next, the state boards or commissions that hire consultants pursuant to NRS 333.705-7. Next, the Board of Trustees of the College Savings Plans of Nevada's annual report regarding the Higher Education Prepaid Tuition Trust Fund. Next, the requirement of the State Board of Education to submit a quarterly report on vacancies from the pupil-teacher ratio that are requested by a school district. Next, the Department of Health and Human Services on child care grants. Next, the requirement for local air pollution control agencies to report annually on the use of money received from the pollution control account. Next, the bill removes the reporting requirements for special distributions from the contingency account related to water rights. Next, the state contractors board regarding the recovery fund. Next, reports from the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine on cannabis research. Next, the requirement for Dieter and the Housing Division of BNI to report on contractual relationships with nonprofit collaboratives in creating jobs in the field of energy efficiency and renewable energy. Next, the requirement for the State Public Works Board, school districts, and the Board of Regents to report on certain projects for weatherization and retrofitting. Next, the requirement of the Public Utilities Commission, otherwise known as the PUCN, to submit reorganization plans to the IFC. Next, reporting on certain sales and use tax related proceeds, specifically Section 13.3 of the Clark County Sales and Use Tax Act of 2005 contained a provision requiring certain information to be reported to the IFC. Specifically, these reports related to the expenditures made using those revenues between July 1st of 2013 to June 30th of 2016. And we're a little past 2016. That supplanted or other revenue sources during that period. These reports continue to be submitted to the IFC even after the June 30th, 2016 expiration date by Clark County. However, they were not required. As such, this provision can be eliminated. And finally, reporting on school district consultants pursuant to NRS 391.155. And with that, we will stand for questions.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for Assemblymember Danielle Monroe-Moreno? Vice Chair Daley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just as a clarification, at least the way I read it, there are several of these reports that are just being sunsetted to cannabis. One at UNR, they've never done those studies, the Bureau that you just mentioned. But many of them, as I understood it and read the bill, for instance, the one on GoEd and some of the others, the Contractors Board, et cetera, those reports are still going to be produced. They're just not going to be redundantly sent to the IFC, as I understand it.
You can go direct. Please go direct to.
Thank you. Senator Daley, for the record, Sarah Kaufman, Legislative Council Bureau. When the chair was going through this request with us, what staff did was evaluate it when the last time the Interim Finance Committee actually discussed these various reports, and most of them hadn't been discussed in several years to a decade sometime in some instances. And so that was one of the criteria that we were looking at when we were going through to determine whether or not these should be included in the Interim Finance Committee. That's not to say that these committees won't have these reports. They just won't be submitted on the continual basis to the Interim Finance Committee.
Understood. And I know when I looked at the one on GoEd, I'm saying, but the report is still produced, has to be sent to the governor, has to be sent to the legislature, just not redundantly to the Interim Finance Committee. And we all get a ton of reports, and I'm sure we read every word, right? But no, thank you for that. Just wanted to clarify that these reports are not going to go to the IFC. Many of them will still exist and be available. Some of them are actually being sunsetted, so.
Thank you very much. Members, any additional questions? I'm not seeing any. Thank you very much for presenting the bill. And we'll now open it up for support of Assembly Bill 506. Anybody who wishes to be heard in support in Carson City or in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone in support come forward. So broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 506?
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Assembly Bill 506, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up for opposition. Anyone who's opposed in Carson City or in Las Vegas, please come forward. I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Broadcasting, is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to be heard in opposition to Assembly Bill 506?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 506, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Anybody who's neutral on the measure and wishes to be heard in Carson City or in Las Vegas? I'm not seeing anyone come forward in the neutral position, broadcasting anyone on the phone lines who's neutral to the measure and wishes to be heard.
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 506, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hi, my name is Catherine Ivanov, IVAN of Frank Frank. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm testifying on neutral as I'm not very familiar with the bill. However, in listening to the presentation, I couldn't help but be kind of surprised that many of those reports that you're trying to delete now, you guys mentioned that you never even gotten those reports within 10 years, which is mind-boggling to me. Why would, if you're supposed to get those reports, why would you waste 10 years, never got a report, and just make it, okay, we don't want to get that report ever? Why were you not earlier requesting those reports? I would think that's part of your job. I don't know, as I'm just a regular citizen, but that's what jumped up at me, and I just want to put it for the record as if someone is supposed to give you a report in a certain time, you shouldn't be waiting 10 years to acknowledge them they're not giving you that report. Thank you, and I'm pretty sure I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Chair, we have no additional callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Assembly member, any closing comments? Thank you. Thank you for presenting all three bills today.
Thank you, Chair. Danielle Monroe Moreno for the record. And just in response to the caller who called in neutral, just to give that person and anyone else listening assurances, a number of the reports that were mentioned just to be deleted, that information does come to the legislative body. It just wouldn't go to the IFC. And oftentimes, the information that were contained in those reports are discussed during various interim committee meetings, and there's been so many changes in the last 10 years in how we do our interim committees where we combined committee meetings. So we do receive the information. We utilize that information when we come back to this body on a biannual basis when we make policies. So we are doing our job. We are utilizing the information. And it's not that we waited 10 years. It's just been used in other ways.
Well, I thank you for your work in streamlining the process and your work on the Ways and Means Committee and on the joint committees and on the Interim Finance Committee and trying to keep our state, functioning with all the vital services we need to provide our constituents. Thank you for all the hard work and thank you to your staff for the excellent presentation. With that, I'd like to close the hearing on Assembly Bill 506 and we will be at ease, members. We have one bill left to hear and then we have public comment. So I will let our sponsor of the last bill on our agenda, Assembly Joint Resolution 6, know that we're ready and we'll just be at ease. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom, feel free. And thanks again, everyone, for their patience last night. I know that was a long hearing. I think we're kind of making up for it today with a quick hearing. Appreciate. Thank you for presenting the bill today.
Thank you for having me, Chair. Are we open or?
Oh, we will come back to order and we will open the hearing on AJR 6. Thank you, Assemblymember Miller.
Thank you for having me, Chair. Thank you, Chair Ornshaw and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Brittany Miller, representing Assembly District 5 in Clark County, and I am pleased to present Assembly Joint Resolution 6, which urges Congress to extend the Social Security Fairness Act. First, I'd like to briefly explain what the government pension offset and windfall reduction provision was. Both reduced or eliminated Social Security benefits for people who had earned both a pension and Social Security. First, we need to keep in mind that Social Security is not an entitlement or an assistance program. It is literally money that's been withheld or taken directly from our paychecks that should be returned to us based on multiple factors, but heavily focused on individual earnings and withholdings. Secondly, this primarily only impacts public employees who have worked in both scenarios throughout their life, meaning they've paid into Social Security and also received a pension. So unless you've done both of those, this would not capture you in this scenario. Myself, as an example, I'm a second career teacher. However, I have already paid into Social Security and earned all 40 credits before I became a teacher. According to the windfall elimination provision, what that meant was that now that I'm in PERS and no longer paying Social Security, and this was enacted back in 1983, that they would have reduced, upon my retirement, they would reduce my earned Social Security benefits up to half. Again, this is money I've worked for, money I've paid, and they're now saying, well, now that you're getting a pension, you're only going to get half of your Social Security. Obviously, I have a long ways to go before I could retire, but according to my December 2024 Social Security statement, they were already saying at this point, even though I still have a few decades, that they would reduce my Social Security by $700 a month. Who does this primarily impact? It impacts teachers, firefighters, and police officers, and of course, federal, state, and local government employees, as well as their spouses and surviving spouses. So the good news is that after multiple decades of fighting, including our own public service unions, that they went and they lobbied Congress, they were in DC. On January 5th, 2005, H.R. 82, the Social Security Fairness Act, this is a bill that Lisa Murkowski has co-sponsored for over 20 years, trying to overturn this law. It finally became law. First, the act repeals the Government Pension Act, which reduced or completely eliminated spousal support for public employees, regardless of whether their spouse paid Social Security taxes. It is estimated that the repeal of the government pension offset restored Social Security benefits for 9 out of 10 employees who lost their entire spousal Social Security benefit under the formula. Those previously affected by the offset will now see an increase of anywhere between $700 to $1,200 a month in their Social Security benefits. Which that amount alone, where we are with our economy, with the price of living, housing, groceries, medication, everything for, especially for retired individuals, can definitely be life-changing. It's like a whole nother check for some people. The Social Security Fairness Act also repealed the windfall elimination provision. About 11.8% of Nevadans are entitled to both a pension and Social Security benefits, and they will now see their Social Security benefits increase by as much as $558 a month. More than 2 million government employees and retirees in the United States now benefit from the repeal. If this holds, I will benefit eventually, meaning when I retire, then I will get, because before becoming a teacher, that was my assumption. I've paid into Social Security. This is money that's been withheld from my paycheck, and then now I'll go on to earn a pension. So again, imagine how surprising it was to find out that the money that's been taken from you, and I know many people have a lot of problems with paying taxes as it is, but again, we've paid a tax that's supposed to be directly returned to us, and they were planning on not returning it. So thankfully, in the future, those of us moving forward, We shouldn't be affected by this. This is for those who were affected by this because this has been in a law since 1983. So again, generations who have retired since 1983 of teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other local, state, and federal government employees have been penalized by being stripped of the benefits through this reduction. Again, this is money they've rightfully earned. So what happened with the Social Security Fairness Act is they retroactively applied it to anyone who retired from December 2023 moving forward. So they will receive back payments for all of 2024, what they should have received, which on average equates to about $4,320 a person. Again, that's great, and most people are not going to deny a check for over $4,000, and I know that can be very helpful for people. But this is honestly, if you know the history of Social Security, this is not the first time that the government has messed up on large groups or generations of Social Security. My grandmother, I grew up always hearing about how she was a gap baby. So she was during that time where, again, her entire generation was cheated out of money that was rightfully theirs. AJR 6 is simple. It urges Congress to enact legislation to extend the Social Security Fairness Act to retroactively apply from December 2013 forward. Technically, I believe it should go from 1983 when this first happened. Certainly, we still have people that are alive. And again, back in the 80s, people retired much younger. I remember even as a kid, when people would say their parents were retiring at like 50. So there are still people that are alive that have been impacted, but I think 10 years is still at least a significant return for many people. Going back to 2013 would entitle roughly about $47,000 in return payments to each person if we went over the, from 2013 to 2023. Again, $47,000 to retirees can be life-changing. The measure also urges the president to sign such legislation if passed by Congress and requires that, of course, this AJR would be submitted to both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and our Nevada congressional delegation. And so with that, I'm open to any questions, and I urge your support on this measure.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Miller. And I apologize, I have to run upstairs to present a bill on Assembly Commerce. I'm going to hand the gavel over to Vice Chair Daley and the hearing over to him, and I think he's going to close us out. Thank you for presenting the bill today.
Thank you, and I'll be up there to see you in just a few minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Committee, any questions? Senator Steinbeck.
I don't have a question, Vice Chair, just a statement that I've gotten a lot of letters of support on this particular bill. People that worked for many, many years and felt that they've, been left out of on this benefit. So I thank you for bringing it forward.
If I go on and continue in other careers with or without a pension, the idea is that that was still my money taken out of my paycheck. Again, it doesn't impact me as much because I'm far from retirement and the laws have changed, but I just really grieve for the people that worked, that paid, that did what they were supposed to do, and are cheated out of money that was directly taken out of their pay. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Senator.
Any additional questions? I don't have any either. I support the measure. I've heard from people over the years that have been impacted by this, public employees, and there's a federal rule, nothing we could really do at the state level. So with that, we will let you step back and we'll ask for testimony and support either here in Carson City. Seeing none, broadcast, let's go to the phones.
To testify in support of Assembly Joint Resolution 6, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Thank you, Vice Chair Daley and fellow committee members. My name for the record is Terry Laird. I'm the Executive Director at RPEN, the Retired Public Employees of Nevada. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization founded almost 50 years ago with the primary mission to protect the pension and benefits earned by all public employees. We are in full support of Assembly Joint Resolution 6, urging Congress to extend the Social Security Fairness Act from 1 to 10 years. This may be a lofty goal, but we appreciate the effort from sponsor Assemblymember Brittany Miller. RPEN has long fought to repeal this federal measure that penalized public employees earning a pension from PERS, but also qualifying for Social Security benefits, as Assemblymember Miller mentioned. There were many RPEN members north and south, east and west who submitted petitions to our Nevada delegation in Washington. And as an organization, we have brought forth many proclamations calling for a repeal of the windfall elimination provision and government pension offset. So we were very happy, as Assemblymember Miller mentioned, that this effort passed in Washington in late December and was signed by President Biden in January. We are elated with the success, and the public employees in Nevada and 13 states did their part too. It was a joint venture each and every time, and we were happy to see it passed. We hope you will support this bill. Thank you.
There are no additional callers on the line at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to opposition. Seeing none here, physical locations, broadcast, anybody on the phones for opposition?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Joint Resolution 6, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. And we have no callers in opposition at this time.
And let's stay with you on neutral. Do we have any callers in neutral?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Joint Resolution 6, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. And we have no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. Seeing no anybody testifying or wanting to testify neutral in the physical locations, we will ask you to back up if you need to, or if you want to any closing comments, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. I just wanted to add something else that just for understanding of how important this was, this has also been able to retain some of our employees as well. Because I know that I found the loophole, had the Social Security Fairness Act not been passed, I found the loophole which was as long as you had, now I've earned 40 credits in Social Security, but that's because my generation, we started working very, very young, right? So I have it, but the other loophole was if you had worked 30 years paying into Social Security, then they couldn't touch your Social Security at all. So in my situation, I still have 15 more years easy to work. So it was one of those things, and a lot of teachers were leaving because of that too, because when they found that out, it was like, well, we can still leave, go pay back into Social Security, and they won't be able to touch either one. So again, that loophole alone, if that was a way for me to make sure that I got all the money rightly coming to me, that was going to be an option that I was going to take, just like many other educators already had. So just wanted to add that it is significant. I know we do have a retired public employee on the dais, and so just wanting you to, a little bit to know how significant it is. But ultimately, I thank you all. Thank you all for your consideration, and thank you for having me this afternoon.
And thank you for that. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Joint Resolution 6. We'll move to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. Any public comment here or in Las Vegas? Seeing none. Broadcast, do we have anybody on the phone wishing to make public comment?
Thank you, Vice Chair. To provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hi, my name is Katrin Ivanov, Ivano Frank, and I was calling to make the record straight. Yesterday, when I was trying to correct the record, I was saying that I testified in AJR 10. I testify yes, but I switched my opinion into a no. And then when I said that, the chair misunderstood and said they're going to move my testimony from AJR 11 from yes to no. So I was just asking again to clarify the record. I want AJR 10, my yes testimony to be moved to no. And in AJR 11, I'm guessing right now I'm a no. No, I needed to be moved back to yes. Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sure our staff will be able to clarify that. Broadcast, any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers on the line at this time.
Thank you. So with that, we will call this meeting adjourned.